Hi, I'm Kim, and you're watching Kim Wilson TV. My channel is dedicated to helping victims of narcissistic abuse get free and stay free. The interview that I did with Barnhardt certainly did help to clear up some questions that I had. But, as all too often when dealing with diabolical narcissism, it also created, well, even more questions. And I want to talk about that today. I've mentioned this many times in videos. When I started to wake up to the reality that what I was dealing with was less than human behavior and quite potentially, some really wrong there. I did a Google search, and just in the Google search bar, I entered Trevor's behaviors, and of course what came up were well over 300,000 search results for demonic possession. And that made sense to me. It felt evil. I definitely felt like there was an evil entity in my life. So when the search results for demonic possession came up, I was down with that. That made sense to me. And that's what I assumed it was. Now, of course, during my interview with Anne, she really cleared that up. And I hope you saw that video, because what looks like demonic possession is not demonic possession at all. As Anne described, demonic possession is where an innocent bystander is attacked and infiltrated by a demon, and the demon is now controlling them, driving the bus, is I think how Anne referred to it. And that made absolute perfect sense to me. What they actually are is not possessed. They have not lost control of their actions, behaviors, and thoughts. They are very much in control. What's actually happened is, through their inability and absolutely self-driven inability to love or be considerate, compassionate, or empathetic of other people, they have created, well, a soul void. And that soul void has allowed for demons to attach to them, not occupy them, not control them, but attach to them and oppress them. Though I have used the term demonic possession, I have always assumed that it was Trevor driving the bus. It was Trevor himself that was sabotaging me, hurting me, cheating on me, lying to me. I never felt a time where he was out of control. I mean, even when you look at those raging fits, as Anne put it, raging like monkeys throwing their poop, I've never in my lifetime heard a more accurate assessment of their behaviors. They certainly do look like monkeys throwing their poop, but throughout all of Trevor's fits and rages, he appeared to be in control. So I'm going to conclude that I believe Anne Barnhardt is 100% right about this. They are not demonically possessed as much as they are demonically oppressed, surrounded by demons. Narcissists have not surrendered their right to free will. So I do believe that they have willingly, knowingly, absolutely, consciously made the decision to allow evil entities in their life. And throughout their lifetime, they have now got an understanding of evil entities, and they are in fact emulating behaviors of demons. And anyone who has ever seen a narc smirk knows beyond a question of a doubt that they delight in harming a target, they delight in sabotaging a target, even if it will result in their own demise. Their need to harm people overrides everything. I think for me, I see a contradiction in that as well. I mean, there's this underlying, belief that narcissists are self-absorbed. They care more for themselves than anyone else. In fact, they don't care for anyone except themselves. And then you see them so willing to self-sabotage. It could leave a victim absolutely scratching your head. And this is one thing about narcissism. that is so out in the forefront. It's something I've brought up many, many times, and it is the constant and relentless contradiction when discussing them. This is a primary focus for demons. For demons to be able to turn your life upside down, they've got to, in some way, impair your thinker. And they do this with gaslighting and projection and these relentless contradictions. All of these things that simply don't make sense. I mean, let's consider for a moment the fact that your narc is potentially sitting right in front of you right now. The narc appears to be real. You've kissed it, you've had dinner with it, you've held hands with it, you've sat and watched a movie with it, you wake up beside it. There it is, yet it is not real. What appears to be very real, very concrete in a physical form is in fact an illusion. I believe that within the narcissistic abuse recovery community, it is these constant contradictions that cause stumbling blocks to healing. And after this interview with Anne, I've been really sitting and pondering this, and I believe that there is a way to smooth out the contradictions a bit so they don't appear as glaring. And I think this is really important for people to heal, because the first steps to healing are going to be blowing all that gaslighting nonsense madness out of your mind. Another aspect of narcissistic abuse that I think really pushes a tremendous amount of, just conflicted ideas out in the forefront is the concept that they are created versus being born that way. And this is really a point of interest to me, because there is so many contradictions in this theory. Now, the concept that they're born this way as a result of childhood abuse really left me scratching my head, because we all know that two completely separate individuals can be abused. One can go on to do great things, yet another chooses to go on to become, attached to demons and to emulate demons. So I would suspect that difference between the one person that goes on to do something great and the person that chooses to become, diabolically narcissistic, I just don't know that occurred in their childhood. That to me seems more like they were born that way. Some people were born just predispositioned to take the dark path, and others are just predispositioned to stay in the light. Another aspect of this that I struggle with, that brings up questions for me, is why are so many children being abused? I mean, this just blows my mind. I mean, we're talking about widespread, horrific childhood abuse stemming from biological parents, foster homes, adoptive parents. I mean, that really leaves me wondering, what in the world is going on in society that biological parents are abusing their children, and talks about childhood sexual abuse, psychological torment, physical violence against a child? I mean, this to me really, I gotta tell you, that just knocks the wind out of me. How could that be happening? What has occurred within our society that has caused that to happen? I'm really stuck, perplexed by that. Okay, so this leaves us with Anne's first explanation of aggressive childhood abuse. And then, of course, her other explanation is that these children have been overloved, over-idealized, made to feel that they are superior to everyone else. And in that is a tremendous contradiction. So if we've got one narcissist and either of these two very conflicting behaviors can cause narcissism, I mean, that was an absolute head scratcher for me too. So Is it one or the other? Is it both of these things? And how are both of these things causing narcissism? Because childhood abuse and the over-idealization of a child are in fact polar opposites of each other. I see there is extreme black space and white space, and that makes me wonder, why aren't people parenting in the gray space? And this leads me to something else, which is social narratives, mind control, indoctrination, all this chanting that we hear today, the talking points coming out of the echo chamber. They never reflect gray space. They are always one polar extreme or the other. And I think society is being forced into polar extreme ideas versus living in more of an unbiased gray space. And then, of course, we have the steadfast concept that they're mentally ill, though this concept has been debunked over and over again, and not by no-name psychiatrists, by the top psychiatrists in the world. Yet these two opposing ideas remain within our community, causing people to wonder, are they mentally ill or not? And I think the possibility or the belief in the possibility that they're mentally ill is in itself a trap. If you love someone and you care for someone and you have bought into the concept that they're mentally ill, that this is a medical condition, well, why wouldn't you believe that it's treatable? We're in 2019. Most cancers can be beat. So many people with, psychiatric issues are able to go on to live pretty normal lives today. Why wouldn't you hang on to the possibility that your narcissist can be helped? Anyways, I'm going to leave it there, and I really hope you guys will leave a comment and let us know if these conflicting ideas within our community have been a stumbling block for you one way or the other over your healing path. I'm Kim. You're watching Kim Wilson TV. I hope you're having a great narc-free day.